Hello and welcome to another episode of Leader's Kitchen. Tonight I'm going to be cooking a paella. Paella is based on a pan shape, but I'm going to be using just an ordinary frying pan. Okay, quick run round of the ingredients. I've got some onions here, some celery. I've also got a small sweet potato I'm going to use as some veg, some spicy chorizo, some chicken that I've picked out of a cooked chicken that we've had, and I've also got some chicken stock here. So first of all I'm going to do is I'm going to prep these veg up, which is just cut it up nice and fine. Okay, so I've prepped the onions and celery here. All I'm going to do with this sweet potato is I'm just going to trim the ends off, like so. And then I'm going to cut it in half lengthways. And I'm just going to thinly slice it. So about 2 or 3 mil thick chunks. All this becomes is another vegetable that's in the actual paella itself. So to the paella later on I'm going to be adding some mushrooms that I've got, and also I'm going to start by slicing this up on a different chopping board because this is actually some rarish meat. Okay, so I've got about half a chorizo there. Let me just clear some space. So if you had an actual paella pan, you would use a paella pan, but all I'm using here is a heavy based large frying pan. So onto a reasonably high heat, switch the pan on and actually put the chorizo into a dry pan to start with. Spread it out, because what we want it to do is we want it to actually start rendering some of the fat out, and it also brings out the spice of the chorizo. Okay, as you can see, the fat's starting to come out of this chorizo now with the pimenton in it, which is the main, or paprika, which is the main spice in a chorizo. So I'm just going to turn these over a little. Oh, and the cat's just come in. Oh, do you want to go through? Go on then. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add all of the vegetables. And soften them quickly. Got some on the floor. Okay, whilst that softens, I'm going to explain about the rice. So what I've got here is some paella rice. This is a short grain rice. I'll show you, trying to show you some up close. So it's quite a short grain, rounded rice. So it's specific for paellas. You can find it in near enough every supermarket these days. So veg is starting to sweat down now. So it does need a little touch more oil by the looks of it. So I'm going to put about a tablespoon or so in of olive oil. And then I'm going to put the rice in. Basically all I want to do is try and get the rice covered in fat and oil. Okay, so that's the rice in. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to put some cooked chicken stock. So this is homemade chicken stock. Into there, a bit more than that. So I'll put in there 800. Oh, I'm trying to work out how much I'll put in there then. So I've put in about 350, 400 mils of liquid there, and that's to 160 grams of rice in there. Basically all we're going to do is bring that up to a boil. So, and all I'm going to do is I'm now going to put some saffron in. You don't need to use this, but it does help with the colour particularly. So this is, oh, let's try and move out of the way. So this is saffron. It's the most expensive spice in the world, and it's even more expensive than gold. So I'm going to put a few stamens in. Okay, so all I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring that up to a boil and keep stirring it every now and then until it absorbs all the liquid. And what I'll do is I'll come back and I'll show you when I add the meat and the prawns in. Okay, so the paella has had about 10-15 minutes now cooking. As you may have noticed, I did top up the stock throughout that period. The stock has almost all gone again now. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put in some chicken here. So this is cooked chicken already. So it's a mixture of breast meat and also some pickings off the carcass when I made the stock. So I'm going to put that in, stir that through, try and keep it in the pan. Okay, at this point you can taste it to test the seasoning, which I'm going to do in a second. And if you need to, you can top up with a little bit of paprika if you like. Also at this point I'm also going to add some prawns. These are just basic straight out the freezer prawns, still frozen. So I'm going to pop those in as well. But first of all, I'm going to have a quick taste. So having tasted that, I can tell that the rice is still quite chalky, so it's not finished cooking yet. So I'm going to put these prawns in. There's not that many there. Basically, I'm going to turn it up a little bit and I'll put a tiny touch more stock in as well. Paella doesn't matter if it sticks to the bottom of the pan. That's actually quite nice, the crispy bits of stock stick to the bottom of the pan, but it doesn't. But don't burn it. Okay, so all I'm going to do is going to finish cooking this off, and we'll come back and I'll show you the finished paella just before I serve it up. Okay, so we've had another 5 or 6 minutes cooking, and what we've got now is a paella that's just done. All the rice is now cooked. As you can see, I was going to put some mushrooms in, but I haven't. Basically, a paella you can sort of do what you want with, but this is just a basic chicken, prawn and chorizo paella. If you like this recipe, please give the thumbs up. Please subscribe for some more content. I will be doing a Spanish tapas series coming soon. So here's my chicken and chorizo paella.